This video is about the full moon and lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Pisces at some places in the world on 27 August. Where I'm at, it occurs at 28 August, 6:20 a.m. in the morning. So this is an eclipse that is all about change, cycles coming to a culmination, and new things starting for us. So what is happening here is that the moon is sitting at 5 degrees of Pisces, and opposite the moon we have the sun at 5 degrees, and also Mercury. Mercury is so close to the sun at the moment. So you can already see that a lot of the integration that can happen for us at the time of this full moon lunar eclipse is that there's a tension with Mercury being opposite the moon. And so we are working here with our mind and our emotions and integrating through this tension of the opposition between Mercury and the moon, how we are integrating these things, what we need to let go, how we are choosing to start this new cycle with our minds. So the main thing that comes through for me, if I look at the astrology, if I look at the tarot cards that showed up for today, if I look at the I Ching guidance, there is a sense here that we are so ready for a new cycle. This current eclipse cycle started with an eclipse in September of 2024, and now we have come to the last eclipse in Pisces in this current eclipse cycle. So we've been dealing with 2 years now of working with these energies. And so this is kind of like an extra culmination point. Like, yes, this is a full moon, already a culmination. We've got a lunar eclipse here, which is always a bigger energy of endings and beginnings than what we usually would have with a regular full moon. And we've come to the end of this 2-year cycle of eclipses in the sign of Pisces. Now, if you want to track back, this exact cycle happened 18 years ago. And also at the end of August 2007, there was an eclipse here at 5 degrees of Pisces. So you can see what transpired for you in the Pisces area of your life. What is happening at the time of this full moon is there is such a sense of there is an immense energy here for transformation. There is an immense energy here for coming to a real expansion and building long-term foundations that can now really be with us for the next 18 years of our lives. And there are also things here that are more challenging, where our discernment is required in terms of making choices and what we want to let go of at this time. So the moon is at 5 degrees of Pisces, and for this actual moon in Pisces, I received the 5 of Cups. Now, when you look at this card, there is something here about focus. The invitation with this card is always, where are we placing our focus? There may be something at the time of this full moon lunar eclipse, or up to 6 months later, as that is how eclipses play out in our lives, that we may feel a sense of loss around. You know, there's some cups that have fallen over. Or if not a sense of loss, then a sense of we need to let go of something in this area of life that is no longer working, that is no longer serving us, or where we can just see a better way forward and we now need to choose better. So there is a choice point here of, yes, mourning what we need to let go, mourning the loss of things that we may have been trying that were not working, or maybe they were working, they're no longer working. And we are now invited to actually mourn this and then focus on what is still standing and build on that. So that is one of the themes that's really coming through with this full moon lunar eclipse, is that there will be things here that we are going to let go. And by all means, do not bypass that. Grieve the things, mourn the things that we put energy in and that we now need to let fall away. But then focus on where we are still emotionally fulfilled, where the cups are still standing, where we can now really focus on building in this area of our life that is working. And with this full moon lunar eclipse, there is already an eclipse energy which can bring such surprises. And then we also have a T-square to Uranus. So this is one of the strongest aspects happening at the time of this lunar eclipse, is that the sun and the moon are both squaring Uranus. Now, Uranus is that surprise energy. Uranus is that symbol of anything is possible. Things will appear out of left field that are completely unexpected. And you can also have really enlightened moments when Uranus is making such a strong aspect. In like suddenly there's just such a complete shift of perspective, because it's like scales are falling from your eyes and suddenly you see so clearly, and you know that what you can leave behind, how you want to move forward, or life is just going to present yourself with really new opportunities and directions to go into. Now, of course, this is a T-square happening here. So that is an energy of tension. But again, with square energies, you know, the tension that we feel and the tension that might show up for us in our experiences, it's all there to help us evolve. So this is really a beautiful energy that is showing up at the time of this full moon, that we can really tap into so many possibilities and unexpected things coming our way that can bring resolutions that we may not have been expecting at all. Now, the energy that showed up for the T-square between the sun, the moon, and of course also Mercury that's sitting with the sun in Virgo is the Nine of Wands here. And the Nine of Wands really is that invitation that shows us, yes, we may have been through something that felt challenging, something that may have felt like a battle. You can see this person is a little bit bruised, but they're standing strong. They're still ready to defend themselves, and they've put up a boundary behind you. So there's something about this T-square that is really asking us to focus on where we want to put new boundaries, acknowledge how hard we may have been working, even fighting, struggling, you know, with this Nine of Wands to get to a place of where we felt we needed to go to. And the invitation here is to stay strong. You know, you've already come such a long way. You've learned so much. You've gained all of these wands that you can now use to put up boundaries, to say no to what isn't working, to say no to people that no longer resonate with you in your life. and to really move forward, you know, to bring your strength around everything that you have learned in this cycle to a brand new place of being. Now, the exciting part that is happening here is that, so the moon is sitting in Pisces. The ruler of Pisces in Hellenistic astrology is the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter is currently sitting in the sign of Leo. So Jupiter is ruling this full moon lunar eclipse. Jupiter is very expansive. And Jupiter in Leo is helping us to really tap into our individual sense of wisdom that we want to bring to the world. Now, at the time of this full moon lunar eclipse, we have Jupiter at 13 degrees of Leo, and it is very strongly trining Saturn in Aries at almost 14 degrees of Aries. Now, Saturn is retrograde at this time, so there's a lot we are integrating. But the beautiful energy here between Jupiter and Saturn is that it's a trine. So with Jupiter, we are focusing on our own expansion. We are focusing on our individual wisdom that we want to bring to the world. How we fit into society's rules as individuals and how that is unfolding for us at this time. Now, with Jupiter trining Saturn, there is a real sense here of building foundations. Saturn can sometimes be that energy that slows us down. And as humans, when we have a goal and we just want to move forward and everything feels like it needs to happen right now, we sometimes don't appreciate this energy of Saturn. But there is beauty about this process because Saturn asks us to move slower. And so therefore, we can build a much stronger foundation. And specifically because this trine energy is so supportive, and Saturn is actually the stronger energy in this trine. It can really bring us that sense of building a very strong foundation, really tapping into, you know, with Saturn, sometimes it's the work that we need to do by ourselves. It's the work that it is our inner work of transformation, of seeing clearly, of building on our dreams, you know, the stuff that, yes, we can get guidance on, but at the end of the day, you are the one that needs to do this for yourself. And so I love this energy for this time because there is really, really support here and really long-lasting, strong foundations that can be built at this time. And the beautiful card that showed up here for this specific trine between Jupiter and Saturn is the World card. And the World card is very much about cycles. You know, it's a circle. When one thing ends, something new will begin. And yet it is also about our inner resources. It is about having all four of those elements inside us and bringing the unique configuration that we carry of these elements inside us to this new cycle, and knowing that there's a sense of celebration in this card as well. So whatever is unfolding is going to bring us to a new cycle. It's going to bring us to a sense of integration. There's a sense of integrating the learning, specifically with these last 2 years of eclipses in Pisces, but also integrating our wholeness, you know, in who we are becoming at this time and bringing this to a brand new cycle. So this is really a lovely energy that is showing up here for this trine. And then we also have another aspect here that is happening with Saturn. Now, Saturn is sitting in Aries at the moment, and Saturn is retrograde, and it is ruled by the planet Mars. And Mars is in the sign of Cancer at the moment. So Mars is not very strong in the sign of Cancer. Mars in Cancer is one of those places where Mars needs to work a little bit harder to get to that place of that strong will, taking action. But the integration with Mars in Cancer is that, again, we can do things from a kinder place, from a more family orientated place, from a more how am I also considering others in what is unfolding place with this Mars energy in Cancer. Now, there's a square happening here between Mars in Cancer, and Mars is the ruler of Saturn in Aries. And this square energy can feel quite uncomfortable at the time of this lunar eclipse, because Mars and Saturn are such opposites in terms of Mars is very fast and action orientated, and Saturn, like I said, is that slowness, that wanting to slow us down, sometimes even stop in order to reevaluate, in order to look more deeply, in order to build a stronger foundation. So there's a tension here at the time of this lunar eclipse in terms of taking the action where we may be feeling very willful in achieving certain things. And then also we've got that slowing down energy presenting itself from Saturn. And Saturn can also sometimes be those places, like I said, where we need to walk this path alone. Like we can get guidance, we can get assistance, we can get support, but there's a sense that in order to build the foundation, we need to do a lot of what needs to unfold by ourselves. So again, Saturn is the stronger energy in terms of this square between Mars and Saturn. So there may be a sense at the time of this lunar eclipse as well that things we may feel very strongly that we want to move forward on, take action, bring our will to at this time, Saturn may say, hang on, just like move slowly, reevaluate, see if this is the right direction before you actually choose, like take things a little bit slower, a little bit deeper. So this is all that can unfold for us with this square between Mars and Saturn. And the card that showed up for this Mars-Saturn square is the 10 of Wands. And the invitation with this card is often to look at those places where we feel we may be carrying a heavy load. You know, sometimes with Saturn is also that energy of heaviness. So there can be a sense of what we are carrying, what we have been carrying with this cycle since the end of 2024 and these eclipses in Pisces. Some of it may have felt very heavy for us. And the invitation here is to really come back to ourselves and take back our sense of responsibility. And that is one of the beautiful energies that Saturn also brings to us, is that sense of, I am responsible for this. And even though a part of this burden may feel heavy, I can take responsibility. I'm the one carrying this. I'm strong, I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm responsible, and I'm walking forward with this sense of responsibility. So that is the invitation here. You can see there's a lot of different energies in terms of what is unfolding, in terms of choosing what to let go, really mourning that part that is not going to walk forward with us, and then choosing where we want to focus, really taking responsibility for that, and also honoring, you know, how hard the journey sometimes can be, and just bringing that sense of inner strength and responsibility, looking for that sense of responsibility that we can really bring at this time. Now, the ongoing supportive energy that I've been talking about this year that is still with us at the time of this full moon lunar eclipse is that minor grand trine that is happening between Pluto now at almost 4 degrees of Aquarius, Neptune at almost 4 degrees of Aries, and Uranus at 5 degrees of Gemini. Now, those are all very supportive energies, also more long-term energies that will still unfold for us over the next couple of years, but just bringing support to our collective change at this time, and just really showing us how much change is possible through these years that we are walking between 2026, 2027, 2028. And again, Uranus is showing up in a couple of different configurations in this chart. So anything is possible, you know. Yeah, unexpected things can always happen when Uranus is in the mix. Now, the card that I received for the overall energy of this chart is the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords looks different to the King of Swords in the sense that the Queen almost looks like, you know, she's got her hand out. It's almost like she's declaring something, she's speaking something. So there's an invitation here for us with this lunar eclipse of speaking, really declaring our truth, where we want to walk to now, maybe even declaring that to other people, if not only to ourselves. With the Queen of Swords, there's a sense of gaining more clarity. So even though some of the elements of this chart may feel a little bit more challenging, there's tension that we need to walk through for our own evolution, that means that overall with this chart, there's going to be a sense of clarity that's going to become available to us. And there is also a sense, and maybe this is to do with Mercury sitting with the Sun, really reflecting this light that is going to be eclipsed. So again, receiving a completely different point of view, but ending up with clarity. So I love this card for this lunar eclipse because the one symbol of this card that is available to us is truly seeing things as they really are, and not bringing maybe too many delusions, illusions into what is unfolding, what is possible for us, but bringing, again with Saturn, that very grounded energy of seeing very clearly what is working, what is not working, seeing things as they really are. And that allows us to move forward in a much more sober way, where we can now just choose and receive new opportunities through what is happening here, and feel much more clear about what is going to unfold. And with this card, there's also a sense of assertiveness, you know, with the sword and the hand. So working maybe with that tension that is happening between Mars and Saturn as well, in terms of how we bring our assertiveness and how we ground that more with Saturn and how we make it more stable for the long term. So this actually feels like a lunar eclipse that can bring so much clarity and also make some of our struggles very, very clear to us, and make us aware of what we really are ready to leave behind at this time. Now, the last thing I want to share for this lunar eclipse is the guidance from the I Ching, and I'm reading from the Little Book of Changes by Peter Crisp. And it's hexagram 58, which is called Joyful Lake. It reads, joy upon joy, the happiness you feel allows you to be gentle and kind to those around you. Two lakes feeding into each other, people pooling their knowledge in a friendly environment where learning is fun. Dive in, creating delightful patterns, reflections of the joy you feel inside. Finding yourself in this beautiful place, you feel free to express yourself. Your appreciation is shared by others. Together, you discover ways to reflect the water's love of the sky. I love this because this reflection really speaks so beautifully about the opposition between the sun and the moon at the time of this full moon. And I feel with this guidance, there's something about this eclipse. You know, when the eclipse stops and changes the reflection of the moon's light for a while, it really stops us. It stops the energy of our emotions, you know, to do with the moon and our expression, and it can bring us to such a different place of seeing. And as is suggested here, we may really walk into things at this time that can bring us so much more joy. And also finding people and ways of walking forward where there's a sense of collaboration and how we can share more joy with others. So I really hope that you have an absolutely beautiful full moon lunar eclipse. Please leave some comments. I love to hear how these things are unfolding for you. Please connect with me if you would like a personal session. I love serving you in a much deeper and more personal way. The links will be below. And also look at my website and tap into some of my monthly group offerings that are available and that are really supportive and life-changing to so many people. I thank you for showing up here. I value your presence so much, and I will see you again soon.